We got Dr. Helm here, and I'm Dr. Kazike Prince here to riff while black. We're riffing over here,
We're riffing.
riffing hard.
Every week we riff.
Well, we got some hot topics to discuss today. First of which is talking about the number of UTIs, urinary tract infections,
Yeah.
that women experience. They're saying 90% of them are caused by men. We're going to get into that. That's kind of related to our topic last week, you nasty bastards. And then, and then we're gonna talk about what you describe it better than me. Oprah and Mel Robbins have been talking about this whole not having no contact.
Yes, encouraging people, not to go no contact with their families, which is in kind of there's also a topic about filial responsibility coming up. There's some state laws that says that children have to take care of their parents
Mm.
financially if their parents are infirm, so we should talk about that.
No, definitely gonna talk about that. And then we're gonna talk about boys falling behind in school because of some fears about them, a fear of failing against girls or women.
Mhm.
Next topic, which is kind of related, is the impact of the elimination of DEI and how it's actually leading to fewer men in college,
Mhm.
which I think is interesting. And then we have a side eye. Y'all up there in Michigan ain't, something ain't right. The coach up there just got fired. He over there messing with them young things, give him a little taste. Brothers. Some brothers say the only reparations you're gonna get is getting with a white woman. I'm like, what kind of nonsense is that? Anyhow,
That's,
that's our side
that's
eye for
bad.
today.
That's
We're gonna
terrible.
get into
Okay.
that.
Yeah, that's
Anyhow,
terrible. Okay. Mhm, mhm.
it's so terrible. And so
So
our
terrible.
first, our
You even have to
first
say that. That's terrible.
I'm just repeating the idiocy I hear sometimes. So we're gonna start with our grounding card today.
Okay.
Uh, our grounding card today is speaking my truth might look like blank. Speaking my truth might look like blank. You want to go first?
Yeah, speaking my truth looks like emotional honesty and genuineness.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
not being down with the fake.
Yeah, speaking my truth definitely. I'm feeling that need to just be honest. The struggle is real. Things are tough. I'm having some days in the shadows and some days in the light. So definitely speaking my truth is looking like that. Um,
Yeah.
you
Plus, I
know,
think at middle age you stop caring what people think. You're like, I mean, I hit middle age probably in my 20s in that, but like, just feel like stop caring so much about what other people think about you.
this is so true because you and I have been talking about some of the hateration that we've been receiving online, and it's like after a while you just gotta like okay, whatever, whatever.
Hateration,
Yeah.
holleration, thinking Mary J.
Hateration.
Blige.
Toleration.
Yeah.
And we're not even going to talk about the P Diddy documentary that came out on Netflix, but that's a whole other,
That's
a
a
whole
whole that's
other,
a whole other podcast. That's another
that's a
podcast.
whole show by itself.
It is. It is.
Anyhow,
Yeah.
let's get it. Oh, so what you want to do first? You want to do the UTIs? You want to get into that?
Sure, I can talk
Oh,
about that.
okay.
So, UTIs are urinary tract infections. Women tend to be more prone to them than men, although men can get them too. Anybody with a urethra. Um, but it's kind of a known fact that you can get UTIs if you are a woman having sex with a man, right?
Mhm.
And it's by sort of bacteria introduced into the urethra.
Mhm.
And I can't remember the male nurse's name on TikTok who was talking about this. I think he did a great job. Terrible, sorry, I can't remember your name, but
All good.
he said that over 90% of UTIs are sort of related to having intercourse. And so his point was, ladies, if you're having sex with men, ask men to, and I guess it could be female and female sex too, but wash your hands before putting your hands inside of a vagina, right? Wash your penis before you do that, right? Because anytime you are introducing bacteria, use condoms, right? Then, she may end up with a UTI. And of course, it harkens back to our earlier conversations where we're talking about people not being comfortable having this conversation. But when you are introducing, and UTIs are painful, painful,
They
painful,
are,
painful.
but
Yep.
help me out, Doc, because I'm maybe because I'm extra grown. I've been told by more than one woman, I ain't doing nothing unless you taking a bath or shower. And I'm like, you ain't got to tell me. I'm grown. So but what it makes me think is that
Yeah,
women have and men, I guess, have been with people where they have to say, hey, bathe
yeah.
yourself before we do anything. And I'm like, isn't that common sense?
No, it's not common sense, number 1. 2, when
True.
people start getting hot and heavy, they don't think
They ain't thinking. They
with
just came from
this.
the field,
And
right?
2, when you're doing things with your hands, right, you need to wash your hands, right? Because this will most definitely lead to UTIs, which are very painful and untreated can lead to kidney stones and kidney infections and things like that.
See
And
now,
if you've ever
uh-huh.
had a UTI, that shit is painful as heck. So,
Well, you know what? I know. You know what? I'm asking you these questions, but at the same time, this reminds me of a story.
oh,
It
here it
was
goes.
back in the
Story
day
time.
when I was working at Whataburger. I don't know if you know Whataburger, but Whataburger is a very
I've
popular
heard of
place
it.
here.
We don't have them up in the Chicago area, but yeah.
I was working in the kitchen. I was at the grill, and there was his brother there, older
Wait, are you
brother.
about to tell a nasty story where people are gonna
No,
lose?
that's not
Okay,
too nasty. Not too nasty. Just
okay,
was related to the topic.
okay, okay.
So before he left to go out the door, they said, "Hey, could you put some more jalapenos in the thing in a little container?" And we're like,
Oh
"Okay."
Lord, I know where this is going. No.
So he gets the jalapenos. He puts them in the container and he leaves. He comes back the next day. We said, "Hey, how was your date night with your girlfriend?" And he's like, "Oh man, you just don't know. We was hugging and kissing. Next thing you know, she's like, ah." He's like, "I thought I was doing something." Next thing she's like, "It's hot like fire."
That's
This fool,
terrible.
this
Yeah.
fool did
Uh-huh. Yeah,
the whole
yeah.
night, never washed his hands, and he had jalapeno juice on his hands.
Oh my God.
Ooh, Lord have
Oh,
mercy.
that poor
So
woman. That's
it makes
awful.
the point. I
It
mean, he
does
went
make
all
sense.
night. He went to dinner. He lovey dovey,
That's
huffing
nasty.
tuffy, and
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
like,
and poor that woman. I mean, just
I feel
awful.
bad for her, boy. That was 100
Yeah.
years ago, but still, that's it
Oh,
proves the point. You got
it
brothers
does.
out here not washing their hands,
Yeah.
not
And by the
bathing.
way, anyone who has a problem with that, that is not someone you want to get with. Oh, come on, baby.
That
You're high
shouldn't be an
strung. Oh,
argument,
hell
right?
no.
That
Yeah.
shouldn't be an
That's not
argument.
someone you want to get with. No,
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
no.
That should be not no debates. You be like,
But but really we should be educating people like, about this, like common practice, wash your damn hands, right? Wash your genitalia before you mash on people, right? Like this is something to talk about because I really think well,
man,
it's true. I mean, if you
get clean before you
logistically, that's
mash.
true. Logistically, it's true. Wash before you mash. That's right, right? Like logistically, it's true, right? We should put that in bathrooms. Wash before you mash, right? But seriously, I think that a lot of times women themselves don't know or are embarrassed to say something.
True,
Men
true,
may not know. So
true,
it's an
true.
education issue, right? Where yes, you need to wash before you mash. Everybody need to wash.
But it's crazy that he said 90% of them are caused because of
That's what he
the
said.
bacteria is on people. So the thing is, I've heard over the years people talk how easily they receive them and how they have to
Yeah.
treat them, and it can be very expensive
Yep.
and times consuming. And so it speaks to maybe how simple the solution may be for a lot of folks is just cleanliness.
Well, yeah, well, think about it. When they found out, going back to like the 1700s, the 1600s, I don't even know. So that may be a misquote. We found like, ooh, if we washed our hands before you did surgery on somebody,
Yes,
they might not die, right? So,
not that from
oh, yes, use soap.
yeah, the awareness of germs and all that good stuff. Ugh, that
Yes,
is
yeah,
crazy. But you know what? This is that simple conversation people should have with one another, or like the conversation we're having now. Just putting the information out there and saying so much could be avoided if we just wash our hands, bathe before we decide to. And yeah, you can get hot and heavy and stuff, but it's all right to pause. Matter of fact,
it really
you might take it to the shower. Hey, baby.
maybe, maybe, but I don't think this being discussed in health class.
Nah, they need to
No,
clean
but
your
and
ass.
then who has to figure it out? She does.
Well,
Yeah.
you know what? It's funny you say that because that's usually it's not the guys. Well, again, we're using a little bit stereotypes, but I think it's partly true. It's not guys saying, "Hey, let me go make sure I'm clean." It's women having and the responsibility shouldn't be
Yes.
just on women, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Yes.
Well, I think it's
And
good
and
information to have.
that
Ninety
advice
percent.
is for any couple, same-sex couples, right? Like straight couples,
Mm-hmm.
whatever you're doing, wash before you mash. Wash your
Wow.
hands, wash your parts.
We got new T-shirts coming out next week called "Wash Before Your Man."
Wash
And we ain't
before you
talking
mash.
about the potatoes.
No, no. Wash before you cook them too. So,
Well, I think the other two topics, excuse me, the other two topics are related. So let's get to this one about Oprah and Mel Robbins about this whole no contact business.
yes. And so it's been all over social media, right? That Oprah and Mel Robbins, I think Mel Robbins wrote an article about it, about how is it really worth going no contact for, with your families? Like, is it really worth doing that? Consider not doing that. Now, self disclose, I did not read the article. I've read kind of some analyses of the article, right? So I'm not critiquing the article. But people have had lots of commentary on social media about this idea of filial responsibility, where if you have parents who are infirm or having major financial issues, that there are certain states that have filial responsibility laws that you may be financially responsible for taking care of
Mhm.
your parent if they can't care for themselves. And for people who have gone no contact, they're like, what the hell you mean? I have to take care of somebody who abused me or somebody who I haven't had contact with. And so it's quite caused quite an uproar, and I see why.
Yeah, that's a tough one because I mean, there's clearly the legal responsibility that you have, but I don't know. I mean, there's plenty of films and ideas that people have come across where they've had no contact with a family member, and then near their deathbed, they show up kind of in this kind of dramatic, grand gesture of sorts. But that's a
It
hard
typically
one.
doesn't go well anyway.
No,
No, because all of the hurt and everything else is still there. But, can you imagine going no contact with your parents, for whatever reason? And I don't know, there's a lot about people who do it for no particular reason, but I think that for most people to go no contact, it takes a long time and there's a reason why they do it. I'm not going to judge somebody's reason for doing
right.
it, but there's reasons why they do it. To have the government show up, knock, 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 by the way, they only have so many Medicare benefits. You have to pay for this parent. And you are totally unfamiliar with the law. I never heard about filial responsibility. I was like, huh?
Nah, and I'm not familiar with it. I mean, but it reminds me of kind of like the responsibilities a parent may have for a child when there's child support, right? Here you are, lolly da, living life, and of course, more people are kind of more critical if you don't take care of your kids because the kids considered more
Yes,
vulnerable. But I guess you could see adults, especially elderly adults, being vulnerable in ways that children are kind of maybe. I
you
don't know.
know, I just didn't know there were laws about it. And I can't imagine, like, if you don't have a relationship with that parent and you get a nasty surprise that all of a sudden you have to pay their bills or you have to do whatever. I mean, these are very tough situations. So I thought it was interesting because I didn't even know that filial responsibility existed.
Well, I imagine again, I'm not familiar with it, but I imagine part of the reason you don't want to have no contact because then if there's a relationship of some sort, maybe relationship is too big of a word in this situation, but you have some kind of contact, and maybe it's a real basic one where you're kind of aware of their health and well-being and are they eating and do they have somewhere to live, that kind of stuff. Those basics are taken care of, and so maybe in some ways you're maintaining some level of contact, but it may not be the deep relationship that many of us
Yeah.
dream of. I don't
Well,
know.
and what responsibility? So let's say if you had a parent who was literally an abuser, what responsibility does that child have toward the parent to take care of them at the end of life? Like that is a deeply uncomfortable question. It's like, oof,
Oof, that is
yeah,
it's a problem just to think about. Like I
Yeah,
gotta take care
it
of
is.
this fool who abused me, and now that, and again, the situation I'm imagining is one where the parent is, physically ill or just elderly and really not able to take care of themselves. I mean, one of the things
Yeah,
you want to make sure that they're not being abused by others, but also by not by the child who's like,
yeah.
I'm gonna get some revenge on this sucker. And so there's a responsibility there. Oof, that's tough.
Well, and this is a little off topic, but in the United States, we do not have systemized care as people get older. So families struggle to take care of elderly family members because there's not a whole lot of prescribed help at all. And if you don't have and if you've had issues in the relationship with the parent and you are choosing to take care of them, it really inflames everything. Like clinically, I see it all the time, right? So somebody has to take care of a parent they didn't have a good relationship with, and it's even harder. I think it's hard if you had a good relationship. It's even harder if you don't. Lots of resentment, lots of pain. So, as we come up to the holidays, I hope people keep that in mind that, family life can be rough.
Oh, it's so rough. I mean, there's our own personal struggles that we have as we're kind of getting through life, and then there's our family members, our friends, and
Yeah.
associates and stuff. And then, now you're taking care of it, because then there's the resentment that may come up for folks. Okay, let's say you're feeling legally obligated to take care of this parent. So now
Yeah.
there's resentment that may bubble up. It wasn't that like, okay, this parent sacrificed themselves for me, and so now, but no, you neglected me, you abused me, and now the state or whoever is obligating me. You're talking about the real risk of resentment just
Oh,
kind of
for sure.
deepening. And
Sure.
but I guess there's some people, again, and this may be a very I don't know, fantasy kind of world, but if there's some way you can be like, you know what, I'm going to take care of this because it's the right thing to do. And I don't know, maybe that's a tough one.
It's a tough one. So let me ask you this. Do you feel like children owe their parents anything? This is another topic that's out there.
I mean, I think there's a obligation of sorts, but I think it's based off of the premise that the parent did things to garner that kind of sense of connection, the
Yeah,
obligation. So, like other relationships in your life, not that they're the same, but they're similar in sense of I've committed, I've poured into this relationship, I've actually created a savings account of sorts with this person, and so now it's time for me to withdraw.
yeah.
And I would hope that because of that sacrifice and you being a parent, you feel that sense of obligation. I guess the challenge is what happens if you're a kid who doesn't feel any obligation.
Or if yeah, and I wonder, do our children owe us anything as we get older? And I'm kind of like, I don't think you do, right? Like I think it I don't think children owe their parents. In a perfect world, as parents age, children can participate in their care, but we live in a very imperfect world and people are broke and hurting and things like that. But yeah, as my 13-year-old is like, I didn't ask to be born, so that's on you. I didn't ask to
But
be born. So do children owe their parents? Uh,
well, it's probably a very cultural kind of question because I think in
yes,
some cultures it's absolutely yes,
yes,
regardless
yes,
of how they behaved, regardless of how because they are a parent and they have a certain position in the community in life, and you're obligated, you must. In other
yeah,
cultures, ours being one of them, there isn't that. But
yeah.
that's why
It's
in
tricky.
some countries homelessness is not a problem
Yep, yep.
because of the
So it's
obligation that we
tricky.
feel. Yeah,
It's tricky. It's tricky. We'll keep talking about it because
yeah, but
we'll
I'm
have
glad we're
lots of
talking about it.
conversations about after the holidays about families that blew up because it happens every year. Therapists
Yeah.
know this is the time of year you real busy, and then people's deductible is unmet, and poof, they disappear.
That deductible ain't no joke.
It's no joke. It's no joke.
Woo, Lord, Lord, Lord. Well, let's talk about this about the roles of male in education. The one I want to start off with is we found out that well, okay. The first thing is about college students, right? And college students, well, we found out there was a story somewhere, I forget, it was Time or the New York Times, where they're finding that with the elimination of DEI programs, which includes people with disabilities, it includes people with veterans, includes
Mhm.
all kinds of folks, right? They're finding a reduction of white men being admitted to college because what they found out is that if we had done a blind admittance to
Yeah.
college, there would have been an unfair, not unfair, that's subjective, but more women would have been admitted to colleges instead of
Mhm.
men. But to have more gender balance, they would admit more men. Now, it doesn't mean these men weren't qualified. Let's get away from
Yeah.
that idea. They were definitely
Yeah.
qualified. But
Yeah.
again, we're seeing a reduction because of the elimination of these programs. And I think
Yeah.
that's something that wasn't foreseen as a challenge, but it's something that's clearly a challenge. You're seeing it at some of the elite schools across the country, which is kind of the point we've been making that DEI is for everyone.
Yeah, yeah. It is interesting, and I wonder too, KP, like, us in higher ed, we always talk about, like, the demographic cliff, which I think is either here or it's next year, I can't remember, where the birth rate in the United States ta has a sharp decline, so there are fewer college students even available. So you're seeing universities close, you're seeing a lot of things as a result of many, many factors. But it is an interesting, like, so there are fewer students going to college in the first place because there are just fewer college students, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now that we've gotten rid of affirmative action and kind of DEI, we're starting to see, right? We're starting to see that it's also impacting men and white men in particular.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, because I mean, on top of that, we learned this week that those programs that if you the loan forgiveness program. They're getting rid of that, right?
Yeah.
It's expensive to go to school. And so it makes me just think about the number of people who are wanting to go to school who may not feel like they can, and the lower admittance rates of white men, particularly, but people in general, to get into these schools because of all the things we've been talking about. Just it's fascinating.
It is. It is. Hmm.
Ah, and I guess for me, it's a little bit of I told you so. And again, I think people, because it's the reason why it's news, because I think there's a lot of people who would have not thought that white men who have been impacted the way that maybe, I mean, we're talking
Right.
about double digits, the
Sure.
number as far as reduction is concerned. Because we have found out before all this is that there were more women in general across the board who were better prepared for college, who are doing
Mhm.
better in school, who wanted to go to college, which is, I think, is related to our other conversation about
Yeah.
men being falling behind because of competition against girls, which
Okay.
I don't know. What's your reaction to this idea that men are not wanting to compete with girls and women?
Well, so I think in our kind of culture, like, patriarchy is real. All right.
Hmm. Hmm.
Male dominance is real. And it's the trend has been that girls and women are doing better in school. So,
Hmm.
one, as a woman, I'm like, that's really interesting. As a mother of two sons, it's concerning, right?
Hmm.
Because it feels like boys are being left behind. And I don't understand all of the factors, right? Like, for
Hmm.
me, I don't want anyone to be left behind, but I
Right.
don't think that we want to, right, uplift boys and men and sacrifice. Like, I don't think this should be a slam on women and girls who are
Right.
doing well,
Right.
right? So we have to figure out what's going on, right? And there are any number of factors here to consider. We have to figure out what's going on to give boys and men the support that they need, as well as congratulating girls and women for doing so well.
Well, one of the things that came up, and
Too
this is
often we
definitely
see things as like a zero-sum game, right? It's
yes,
one or the
exactly.
other, and I don't like that thinking. I think it's damaging.
Well, it's damaging and it's a sabotage.
Yeah,
It's a lose lose kind of situation. They can't succeed if I'm failing, right?
right.
And I think one of the things that this article brings up is that there's a cultural norm that men cannot accept failure against women and girls. And I'll use
Yeah,
sports as an example. I remember when I was running cross country and track. There was a young woman, who was particularly talented, and she was faster than a good number of the guys. And I remember,
mhm,
if it wasn't just amongst the guys, it was the coach who was like, "Don't let her beat you," because the
right.
idea was if you're a guy, just because you're a guy, you should be
Yeah,
faster than actually one of the most talented girls, not just at our
yeah,
school, but in the district.
yeah,
That you
yeah,
shouldn't lose to her. And I remember going, "Oh snap!" I don't want to lose her. And I worked really hard, but I fed really easily into that model that
And
somehow
did she
there's
kick
no
your
way a
ass?
girl
Did she kick your ass?
on that. There was a day she kicked my ass. I'll be honest. I mean, I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah,
ooh, I ain't. Mm-mm. But internally, even losing in that moment, I felt the sense of I'm not working hard enough. I'm not trying hard enough.
yeah.
And I hate to
Because I
admit
let a
that
girl beat me. And
the
and
girl,
we, you know, I think we have to really, it's not like you're taking gender out of it, but that's part of patriarchy where it's set up like men are never supposed to lose to women. There's something wrong
mhm,
with him if he loses to her. She's always
mhm,
supposed to be under him, right?
right,
And to
right,
me, that's problematic thinking. And you know, it can lead in some ways to gender-based violence and things like that because you're not supposed to lose to a girl as opposed to recognizing her talent. So
right.
it's, you know,
But I
I
can
don't
see
like it.
that same mindset playing
Yeah,
out in engineering, in medicine, in our
yeah,
field. That if I lose to her, somehow she's inherently not as prepared or as talented. And this plays out with race and other issues as well.
it does.
But
Yeah,
clearly, I see it on a regular basis. I mean, especially in industries that are heavily male dominated. The idea
yeah.
that they would lose to some woman. I mean, who is she? Is the
Right, you're
mentality.
never supposed to lose, and I think the article you sent me said, like, we need to normalize to boys losing and winning against girls and women should be normalized.
And I'll be honest, because one of the things they said in the article is that it's not creating a kind of a male affirming space is not the solution either, right? Because I think that was kind of the initial reactions. Well, we need to create spaces that are affirming of men. I said, well, the spaces are already affirming men. So what are you talking
Yeah,
about?
right, right.
But I'll
That's
I'll
kind
be
of the
honest.
default. Male affirming spaces are sort of the default in certain places.
Right, but what you make me think about is getting used to losing and winning, right? And so I remember I went to a middle school where we were undefeated and it felt really, really good. And
In
then when I
what?
got, oh, I'm sorry, in football, we got undefeated in
Oh, okay.
football.
Okay.
But then I
Alright.
went to Prairie View, A&M University. I'm very proud of my alum. But we had a losing streak for 10 years straight, 10 years straight. And when you get used to losing, you get humbled. You
Yeah,
learn a lot. It feels like things are just falling apart around you. You can't figure out what is going on. Is it the coaching?
yeah.
Is it the lack of funding? Is it us? But it's also opportunity to learn about yourself, about what you can do differently and better. And so that I think that culture of humility and learning about yourself and dealing with struggle is probably part of the solution, right?
I hope so. I hope so, because again, I think that when men tell themselves they're never supposed to lose to a woman, there's something wrong with them as men,
Yeah.
like their masculinity is threatened. It can often end in gender-based violence, sexual harassment, sexual assault as a way to reestablish dominance. It in some ways it doesn't work out well for women.
Well, and that's unfortunate. I mean, it's more than unfortunate. It's a travesty. It's an injustice. But what I hear you talking about is it's not just men getting used to getting to losing against women. It's the consequences of men's inability to manage that, and it turns into violence, whether it be verbal or
Yeah,
physical towards women, and that's intolerable. But it's a major issue that we're dealing with,
yeah,
uh,
yeah,
and it's sickening actually. And I don't know. I just feel like there should be like this chorus for the bros or whatever. We're like, all right, this is how we gonna do this.
yeah,
And because the truth is, we have to lose against each other all the time. And there's a culture that's centered around sportsmanship, right?
yeah,
You
yeah.
lose
But
well.
sportsmanship for men and boys.
Yes, yes,
Not
and
kind
so
of sportsmanship for athletes in general,
right.
right? And, you know, if you think about it, like, superior female athletes are devalued and undervalued. Like, if we look at even how much they're paid, how much they're
Hmm.
followed and watched in terms of televised games and things like that,
Right.
um, which is a way to kind of uphold the current system. Like,
Right.
which athletes make more money? Who do we like to watch and see, right? So,
Well, even the
mhm.
conversation around trans women in sports, that becomes another way of the system policing women's bodies, determining
Mhm,
who's a woman, who's not a woman. So,
mhm.
because whenever there's a accusation that someone may not be a biological woman, then now you have the system coming in to check and literally give them physicals to figure out who's a woman, who's not. And so it just adds another layer of nonsense to the whole conversation.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know. I'm feeling a little, a little upset now that I'm talking about this.
You're fired up.
Well, I mean, I have a daughter, I have a son, and
Yep.
I want them to, one, I want them to get along with one another, but they're,
Yeah.
maybe their partnerships in life, they're who they work with. I want them to be able to know how to win, but also know how to lose well. Because losing is not the failure. The failure is not knowing how to lose in a way that's respectful of yourself and the people around you.
But I think that that is an evolved response, and it's a response that you people hopefully grow into, but it's not the typical response.
No, well, because there's no tolerance for losing. I'll use Michael Jordan as a good example. I mean, he hated losing. He was a very, very competitive person, and he was abusive. He was abusive to his teammates.
Mhm,
He took advantage of the people around him. I mean, he was just known for being super, super competitive, and there was no room for losing. And
mm,
that's really, I don't know if you watched the documentary he had, but there was so much feedback from former players. There's still commentary to this day about his level of competition. I mean, okay, great, he won. He has 6 rings. I mean, he's the
yeah,
GOAT. That's all great, and you know what? There's benefits for winning, but there's a lot of negativity that comes from that
mm,
winning as well.
mhm, mhm.
Ah, oh, Lord.
I think do we need a card? I think we need a card.
Yes, we do need a card because we're about
We
to
need a
hit
card.
this side eye in a second.
Oh, yeah.
This is our ground. This is not grounding. Our engagement card. A time when someone helped me feel included was blank. A time someone made me feel included was blank.
So I've been at my current job. I have multiple stuff going on, but my current job, I think they did a good job to help me feel included and welcome me in the space by making sure I adjusted well. And this is a long time ago now. This is like 25 years ago. But I remember that's why I chose to work for that agency because they brought me in, they acted like they wanted me there, they mentored me, and so I was very lucky.
That's cool. I like that. One time I felt included was at an organization, a relatively large organization, corporation space, with a pretty, very predominantly white community of sorts. And I had a supervisor. I'd been there not very long, maybe a few months, and they had took the time to find a book that they thought I would like. And I forget the name of it
Nice.
off the top of my head, but it was exactly the kind of book that I really enjoy. It was about, I think, becoming
Oh.
this leader, a certain kind of leader, or something like that. And it was a
Were you all up
short
in your
read.
feet when your fifis, all in your feelings?
I mean, I felt seen and heard. Yes, I
Okay.
did. And it was nice to be seen and heard in that way. So it's funny. I'm not a how they talk about love languages and people who like receiving gifts. Um,
Mhm.
I'm not that person, but every once in a while, sometimes a gift can be the right way of showing me,
Nice.
being included and all that good stuff. So yeah, yeah, yeah.
Nice, that's nice.
Cool. Well, let's get
Okay,
to
you
our
ready?
side eye real quickly. And I,
You chose this one, it's on you.
well, okay. We have the former head coach of the University of Michigan football team. His name is Sharon Moore, I think is how you pronounce his name. And he's African American. He was hired after the former coach had won the national championship and left to go be a head coach in the NFL. I believe he went to the San Diego Chargers, or LA Chargers is what they're called now. And so it was a big deal. He's African American, and she's the University of Michigan. Michigan has this, it was one of the champions of diversity issues. And so here they are
Wow.
bringing this. And I've heard this from women. They're like, he's a good looking man. I'm like, okay. So 2 years go by, or maybe more, and his records, he's a winning record, but it's not the championship, but he's doing all right. Well, then earlier this week, it comes out that he gets fired, like immediately. Like,
Mhm.
and of course, my initial reaction is, what'd you do? I mean, you can't, because they can't just fire you like that, right?
What'd you do?
What'd you do?
So
Because they can't, I mean,
what
they
do you
just,
do?
I mean, it's kind of like when the coach at Louisiana State University, he got fired, but everyone knew that was happening because he had a losing season. Or it's
Yeah,
not losing, but he wasn't doing as well as they expected. So that made
yeah.
sense. This one was out of nowhere. Find out he been boning the executive assistant, who's a young white girl. And then on top of that, he's married to this white woman, which is maybe not that important. But the point is, then the man, when he gets caught out there for what happened, he goes home, threatens his wife with like she's I don't know if he threatened her or himself, but then went to the woman who he'd been sleeping with and threatened her or threatened himself again. And then another part of the story is that she might be pregnant, which is maybe why this all
So
came up in the first
is
place.
the threatening part alleged or actual?
It's all alleged at this point,
Okay, it's
because it's
all
too
alleged.
early in the
Don't get
process. But he
assumed.
was arrested.
Alleged. Okay,
Well,
yeah.
we can confirm this
Okay.
all alleged, but we can confirm he was arrested. Now, why was he arrested? Was it just not to harm himself, harm other people? I don't know, but he was arrested because of some concerns of his behavior. And again, this all came out in the last 2 days, and I'm just the side eye was strong from jump
Let me see
because
it. Let me see the side eye.
it was from jump because I'll be honest. It's kind of like when you find out there's a mass shooting somewhere, and I'll be honest. I'm one of those brothers. I hope it's not brother. I hope it's not a black person. And so I already knew he was black. But then my next
Look,
thought was,
and my reaction is, oh my God, those poor people. But let's just keep moving, shall we?
yes. But then the next thought I was, did he sleep with a white woman? Is this all about him sleep with someone? And was it a student? My understanding is no, it was an executive, but she's significantly younger than him. So she has a student energy, I guess. I was just, come on, man. I guess you know what it
Well,
is playing into that stereotype.
well, not only that, but when you're any kind of a public figure and it's a Big Ten university, right? You are African American and an African American male, which makes you hyper visible, and you are a representative, a national representative of the university,
Of
right?
black
You know that
people.
expression, "Don't shit where you eat." What you doing?
I
Like,
mean,
don't shit where you eat. What are you doing? So, good luck getting another coaching job.
well, he'll get another coaching job. This is the thing, because we've had this story happen. I mean, there was the former coach of the Boston Celtics was his brother, and he has slept with some staff member, and he did this while he was still dating Nina uh the one from Friday, Real Pretty Sister,
Okay.
Nia Long.
Oh,
He
Neil,
was
Neil on,
dating
yeah.
Nia Long and messed with some other woman who's part of the organization. They broke up. Now he's the coach over at Houston Rockets, who are actually doing kind of good. So he'll get another job, but it's just like, bro, why are you going through all this drama, man?
I don't know. I
Just
don't
don't do
know.
the drama, man. Just avoid the drama. And then I heard from another brother who was like, well, if he's messing around, maybe his wife isn't taking care of things at home. I'm like, nah, bro.
Well, you know what? I can't even. Please stop. That is not an excuse. I mean, no, I can't. No, 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 no. That,
But I
yeah,
figured I'd
it's
bring
his
it up to
wife's
you. So,
fault that he cheated. It's his wife's fault that he cheated. Get out of here. No, I reject that.
but people are always kind of trying to come up with some rationalization for these
The
circumstances.
rationalization is he made the decision he made.
Yes,
Right. The
and
rationalization is you appeared to be in full control of your behavior, and that's a decision you made, which you didn't intend to make public, and yet it was publicly made.
if he allegedly tried to hurt someone or hurt himself, it makes me think something else is going on with his brother. He seems like he might need some help, which maybe
Yeah,
he does. I don't know, but
I don't
uh,
know.
yeah. So yeah, I brought it up because I was like, bro,
But you lost that good job. Look at you losing that good
man.
job.
I
Mm.
mean, and the thing is, because of circumstances, I don't even know if he's going to make that back pay or that future pay.
Who's not getting back pay? Get
I
out
don't
of
know.
here.
Whatever the point is, his money situation is going to be jacked, and I don't know if he has kids or not, and I don't know how his wife is going to feel. I'm like, bro, you got a mountain of nonsense to deal with.
Well, mess. Yeah, you got mess. But you invited the mess, so
See,
sad,
there's that look on my face.
sad, 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 sad,
Mm-mm.
sad, sad.
Oh
Mm.
well, that's our side eye for the day. Mm. And so I felt, ooh. And I'll be honest, I didn't want to talk about Trump again as another side eye. So that's why I did
Yeah, yeah. We'll return to that in a bit.
that.
I know you
So
got our card. Okay, what's this
yes,
one? Oh,
this is our celebration card. I spoke my truth when blank.
I'm gonna let you go first while I think of something.
Well, I spoke my truth when I was like, look, I really affirmed your little saying that you came up with. I'm gonna let you say it, but when you talking about cleaning yourself, I mean, Lord Jesus, I
Wash
mean that
before
is.
you.
I feel a certain, I don't know, affirmation of hearing this. Cause I'm not the neatest, cleanest person in the world, but I bathe every day. And when I hear these
Right.
stories, particularly about white people taking a shower maybe once a week, once a month, or letting the water hit their legs, and I'm just like, no, I shower
Is that
every day.
racialized or is that just is it I
Well,
don't know.
I
Racialized.
don't know if that is, but it's something you see on the internet where you have these women, white women and men, who are saying they might just do the cooter in their under parts, but other than that, they just let the water hit their skin, or they don't use soap at all. Now, I don't think this is a
Why would
national
you admit
epidemic.
that in good company? I don't know. I don't know. Why would you tell people that? People don't need to know. They'll figure it out if they're close enough to anyway. Um, so speaking my truth, I think we added sexual health topics each time, and I think that there is a truth in talking about in an educated way about sexual health. Like I think that it's people have questions. I think it's an incredibly important topic, and so anytime I bring a topic about sexual health, I think it's speaking truth because it's
Oh,
speaking truth to power with good information.
yeah. Well, and I'm really glad I am actually excited that we're talking about it now. I mean, someone might say, well, you excited to talk about sex in general? No, I'm saying this is important information for us to be
It
talking about in
is.
our community that I think
It
gets
is.
ignored and not discussed at all.
I
And
agree.
so
I agree.
I'm so happy that we're making this a priority. I mean, we're talking about a lot of other things, but we're
Yeah.
going to have this as a silver lining that connects all our episodes. So this is
Well,
great.
yeah. Yes. Well, everybody, I hope everybody's doing well. And I'm in the tundra right now. I'm sure you're not in the tundra where you are, but I'm in the tundra. So I hope that those of us in the tundra are keeping warm and keeping strong.
Yes, yes. And well, I'm not in the tundra. I think today's high is 68.
Oh, get off here. Get off. It's like in the 20s here. I don't want to hear from you.
You don't want to talk no more.
No, I don't want to talk about that.
Well, hey, it's always good to see you, Dr. Helm, and definitely want to put out the positive vibes and all that good stuff. And we'll see y'all soon on Riffing While Black.
See you, everybody. Bye, KP.